Every morning for 11 months I threw away the same thing. Coffee grounds into the bin, citrus peels into the compost, potato skins into the trash. I was throwing away electrolytes, the same chemical component that makes every battery on Earth function. I did not know it. Most people do not know it. And the morning I figured it out, I sat in my kitchen for a long time looking at the coffee filter in my hand differently than I ever had before. Let me show you what I found at the end of that morning and what it meant, and then I will show you exactly how I got there. 6 months ago, I was running low on copper sulfate solution for an electrochemistry experiment, and I had none left in my storage. Rather than wait for an order to arrive, I made a list of everything in my kitchen that I knew contained dissolved ionic compounds. Things with natural acids, things with mineral salts, things with organic electrolytes. The list was longer than I expected. Coffee, which contains potassium, magnesium, and chlorogenic acid. Citrus juice, which is high in citric acid and potassium ions. Potato water, which contains potassium, phosphate, and starch complex minerals. Vinegar, a dilute acetic acid solution. Salt water, the classic standby, and brine from fermented vegetables, which I had sitting in a jar from a batch of lacto-fermented cabbage. I set up 6 identical electrochemical cells using copper and zinc electrodes of identical surface area. 1 cell per electrolyte. I connected each cell to a digital multimeter and a precision microammeter and recorded output voltage and current at 1-hour intervals for 72 hours without replacing or refreshing any electrolyte. These are the results. And one of them surprised me more than any result I have produced on this channel. I did not invent any of this methodology. I am not going to pretend I developed novel electrochemical testing. Alessandro Volta's original pile experiments in 1800 tested animal tissue, saltwater-soaked cardboard, and various brine solutions as electrolytes before settling on sulfuric acid as his standard. The Journal of Chemical Education published papers in 1938 documenting the electromotive force of various fruit and vegetable juice electrolytes in galvanic cells. The Indian Journal of Chemistry published comparative electrolyte studies using agricultural waste streams in 2012, finding that several organic waste streams matched or exceeded dilute sulfuric acid in short-term galvanic cell performance. The academic literature on this is real and specific. The kitchen application of it is something most people have never encountered. You already know that batteries need an electrolyte to function. You have known this since school if you ever made a lemon battery. The lemon provides the acid. The acid carries the ions. The ions complete the circuit between the electrodes. The chemistry is identical whether the acid comes from a lemon, a fermented vegetable, or an industrial vat of sulfuric acid. The electrolyte's job is ion conductivity. Multiple natural substances conduct ions. The question is how well each one performs in a sustained electrochemical cell. Here is the science that makes the results interesting. Electrolyte performance in a galvanic cell depends on 2 variables. Ion concentration, meaning how many charge-carrying particles per unit volume the liquid contains, and ion mobility, meaning how freely those particles move through the liquid under the influence of the electric field. Sulfuric acid in a lead-acid battery has very high ion concentration and high ion mobility, which is why it produces strong, sustained current. Natural organic electrolytes have variable ion concentrations and generally lower mobility. The question my test was designed to answer was how close the best natural alternatives come to the conventional standard under identical conditions. Here is the part that gets me every time about the fermented vegetable brine result. Lacto-fermentation, the same process documented across multiple videos on this channel for food preservation, produces a brine that is rich in lactic acid, dissolved minerals from the vegetable, and sodium chloride from the curing salt. Lactic acid is a stronger organic acid than citric acid. The combined ionic content of a mature sauerkraut brine, which includes potassium, calcium, magnesium, sodium, chloride, and lactate ions simultaneously, creates an electrolyte that my measurements showed producing output comparable to a dilute sulfuric acid solution of approximately 10% concentration. The same jar of brine sitting in your fermentation crock that you might otherwise discard when it runs out is a functional battery electrolyte. Here is what you need to replicate this test yourself. And I want to be honest with you. This is genuinely it. You need 6 small glass containers. Clean jam jars or drinking glasses work perfectly. Free if you already own them. You need copper and zinc electrodes of consistent size for each cell. Copper pipe fittings of identical size cost about $4 to $6 for 6 pieces. Zinc strip or galvanized sheet metal cut to matching size costs about $5 to $8. You need a digital multimeter capable of measuring microamps, about $10 to $15 for a basic unit. You need your test electrolytes, coffee grounds steeped in water, fresh citrus juice, potato water from boiled potatoes, white vinegar, salt water, and fermented vegetable brine. Total materials cost, if you purchase everything, approximately $20 to $29. Electrolytes cost nothing because you make them from kitchen waste. The copper fittings, zinc strips, and microamp-capable multimeter are linked in the description below and in the first pinned comment. Check those before you start setting up your test cells. Now let me give you the actual numbers from 72 hours of measurement. Coffee grounds electrolyte. Initial voltage 0.71 volts. Initial current 38 microamps. At 24 hours, voltage 0.53, current 22 microamps. At 72 hours, voltage 0.31, current 11 microamps. Steady decline as organic acids break down and ion concentration drops. Citrus juice electrolyte. Initial voltage 0.84 volts. Initial current 61 microamps. Highest initial performance of the organic liquids. At 24 hours, voltage 0.62, current 41 microamps. At 72 hours, voltage 0.38, current 19 microamps. Strong start, significant decay. Potato water, initial voltage 0.49 volts, current 24 microamps, weakest performer of the 6. Significant turbidity from starch compounds appeared to interfere with ion mobility. Here is where most people stop the experiment too early. They measure at the beginning and again at 24 hours and rank the electrolytes by initial performance. The fermented brine result does not look exceptional at hour 0. Its advantage emerges in sustained performance over time. Vinegar electrolyte. Initial voltage 0.78 volts. Current 52 microamps. At 72 hours, 0.44 volts, 26 microamps. Good initial performance, moderate decay. Salt water at 2% concentration. Initial voltage 0.61 volts, 33 microamps. Consistent, stable decay curve. Fermented vegetable brine from a 3-week lacto-fermented cabbage batch. Initial voltage 0.81 volts, 58 microamps. At 24 hours. 0.77 volts, 53 microamps. At 48 hours, 0.73 volts, 49 microamps. At 72 hours, 0.68 volts, 44 microamps. The fermented brine lost only 16% of its initial voltage over 72 hours. The citrus juice lost 55%. The coffee grounds lost 56%. The vinegar lost 44%. The fermented brine did not have the highest initial output, but it had by far the most sustained output across the full test period. And it compared directly to a 10% sulfuric acid control cell I ran in parallel, which showed 62 millivolts higher initial voltage, but declined proportionally faster after the 24-hour mark due to electrode sulfation. Here is the second place where most people ruin this experiment. They discard the brine electrolyte after the test, thinking it has been consumed. The brine is not consumed in any meaningful way by the galvanic cell reaction at these current levels. It can be refreshed with a small addition of fresh fermented brine and reused. The electrode is what degrades over time, not the electrolyte. If you want to understand how organic electrolyte cells, salt carbon storage, and earth batteries can be combined into a coherent ambient energy collection and storage system, the Energy Revolution system covers that integration in full. You will see a QR code in the bottom right corner of your screen right now. Point your phone camera at it and it will take you directly there. It connects every energy source this channel has documented into a single working plan for your property. While commercial electrolyte chemicals are sold for laboratory and industrial use at prices that make small-scale experimentation expensive, your fermented vegetable brine and kitchen acid waste streams provide a free, continuously produced, surprisingly high-performance electrolyte that you are currently pouring down the drain. The same lacto-fermentation process you might use to preserve vegetables for 2 years is simultaneously producing an electrolyte that outperforms several purchased alternatives in sustained galvanic cell performance. This is not really about building a battery from coffee grounds. It is about seeing the kitchen differently, about recognizing that ionic chemistry is happening in your fermentation crock, and in your citrus fruit, and in your morning coffee, and that the same ions that carry charge in a commercial battery are present in things you currently discard. About the specific quiet satisfaction of measuring real voltage from real current in something you made from kitchen waste. Start with 1 cell, 1 glass of fermented vegetable brine if you have it, or citrus juice if you do not. 2 electrodes of copper and zinc, 1 multimeter. Measure the voltage. Write it down. Measure again at 12 hours. Measure again at 24. If the numbers decline more slowly than you expect, you have confirmed something that the academic literature documented in 1938, and that most people reading this have never thought about. If this kitchen electrolyte experiment changed the way you look at what goes in your drain, please subscribe and like the channel. We are unearthing practical wisdom that the modern world has tried to bury. Generate power from what you already make. The next treasure of forgotten knowledge will be revealed soon.